Someone finally accepted the Arizona Cardinals job for head coach, but is Mike LaFleur going to save this franchise from the depths of the NFC West?
And Philly got their OC. Was it someone on my wish list? Also, some concerning reports about Fangio and his future with the Birds. Let's dive in with this, some Super Bowl props, and much, much more on this week's episode.
You're listening to Birds Coast to Coast. Here's your host, John Clark and Tanner Riddle.
All right, Tanner, welcome back. Welcome everyone to another week of Birds Coast to Coast. I'm your host, John Clark, with my wonderful co-host, Tanner Riddle. We're here to kind of talk about our upcoming Super Bowl, our wonderful Super Bowl 60, Patriots versus Seahawks. Go over some coaching carousel updates, maybe some Super Bowl prop bets for those folks who are interested in that, and then wrap up with the extra points. So, Tanner, what do you got on? I hear you got some news in Arizona about a new head coach. What happened?
Well, we finally got an answer on Sunday.
It took us so long, so long. My God.
I remember last week when we were recording, you probably saw me. I was looking at like a 45-degree angle because I'm constantly hitting refresh on Twitter, waiting for that like Schefter or Rappaport update saying Cardinals, are finalizing a deal for. At the time, I thought it was going to be Michael LaFleur, which obviously it ended up being Michael LaFleur. But yeah, he was in Arizona, stayed for 2 days, had dinner. That's usually like, hey, this is getting done. And
It
I
took
had to
so
wait an
long.
extra 5 days.
My
And
goodness.
I'm in my head, I'm scrambling, and I'm thinking, did something go wrong? Come to find out, they were wanting to do one more interview with Clint Kubiak, who ended up signing with the Raiders. Technically, it's
Oh,
not
and
official, but
no, yeah, and of course Kubiak. There was that report where Kubiak, I think, said, I would rather. I think he would rather just go back to being an OC than be a head coach for the Cardinals." And I was like, "Ah, what a jerk!" Did you see that report?
well, no, oh yeah, I saw it.
Of course, yeah. I was about to say, like, what a jerk.
I
You have
mean,
to make that public.
I get it. I could make arguments why our job's more desirable than the national media's perspective is on it, but I mean that's what leverage is, I guess. I mean, I do think he's got a good gig in Seattle, so
What makes you wonder? I mean, everyone's talking about like the guys coming up for the next coaching cycle, and that makes sense. It's just a natural progression of like hiring cycles and things. So I just wonder, like, who do they think is going to pop open next year? Like who's going to be the head coach job that they do want? Like, it's almost like that draft, and this always pops up every year. Like you always hear, this one prospect does not want to play for this team. It's like, well, good luck, buddy. They're going to be in the top three again next year. So like, I don't understand. Like,
right.
what do you think? A good team is just going to have a coaching opportunity lined up for you? I don't really see how often. Like, it's rare that like above 500 team just plucks their coach and just gets rid of them. Like the Ravens, that doesn't happen so often. The Bills, that doesn't happen very often. That type of situation is very rare. Most often, you're going to get teams that are probably picking in the top 10. So sticking your nose up at them, I don't know if that's a good look. I don't think that's cool.
Well, again, it always comes back to leverage. The name I think of with the last 2 years was Ben Johnson. So Ben Johnson's name had been floated around for a couple years. And for a lot of guys, you want to strike when the iron's hot. But Ben Johnson had confidence in himself, but he also had confidence in the structure he had with Detroit. So he knew he could
Mm-hmm.
be picky. And the year that the Washington Commanders were looking for a coach, they ended up going with Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of interest in Ben Johnson at the time, and he ended up saying, no, now's not the time. Got an opportunity last year, or I guess the next year after saying no. Um, Obviously, got a great situation in Chicago, but yeah, it takes a lot of confidence to turn down a job because for every Ben Johnson that is confident in himself, where it works out, there are guys who fizzle out. The name I think of is remember Bobby Slowick. I think after
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud's rookie
Yeah.
year, well, he was
Oh,
a
his
hot
name.
name,
He
and I
he
think he
tanked.
did the Ben Johnson thing. He says, you know what, I'm going to be picky. I think a year or two later, he ends up getting fired as a coordinator there. So, yeah, for every guy like Ben Johnson who it works out for, there are guys like Bobby Slowick who not as fortunate and probably should have taken advantage when the iron was hot.
Yeah, I remember a lot of names popped up at that time, and Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick, and I was thinking this was before the Super Bowl year, and I was like, man, we could just. I was like, maybe Sirianni's not the guy. I was like, maybe we can get, maybe we can get out of this while we still can. And that Slowick guy, he did pretty good with C.J. Stroud. Now I'm like, 2 years later, I'm like, I don't want Slowick as my OC. I don't want. Whereas like
Right.
2 years ago, I was like, dude, yeah, you did great. And a lot of people were kind of attributing like CJ Stroud's regression to Bobby Slowick, and he goes to Miami, and I don't think he did much great. I mean, look, their coach got fired too, so it wasn't like he wouldn't really add much to the equation. So yeah, it's kind of a risk and a gamble, but talk about your guy, man, Mike LaFleur. He's got some history, and he's from that McVay tree. Are you excited to incorporate that with the Cardinals? So you kind of get that. I feel like I was thinking to myself, I was like, this McVay tree, it's almost like an orchard at this point. Like it's spreading like not like a virus, but it's just getting its tendrils all over the league. I mean, his tree is growing quickly. It's insane for so young he is too.
Yeah, I mean, so we talked about him a little bit last week. Um, there were 10 openings this year, and if you had to rank our opening amongst the 10, I'd probably say at best the general opinion on it was probably around 8th or 9th. Like it wasn't one of the more attractive jobs. So you're not going to get that perfect candidate or a guy like a John Harbaugh who has 20 years of success in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So relative to expectations, I am very excited. You look at the history of the guys who have coached under Sean McVay on the offensive side, and these were all guys that did not call plays, which is probably the biggest or the most concerning thing about a Michael LaFleur. And I
It's
think
always the biggest hurdle.
Kevin O'Connell has the lowest win percentage. You look at Kevin, and I think a lot of people see Kevin O'Connell as a top 10 coach in this league. We got Kevin O'Connell, Liam Cohen. Oh shoot, who's the third one that I was thinking?
Zach Taylor.
No, because he was technically the quarterback coach.
So you're just going strictly. I see what you're saying. I can't think of the other guy.
But
I don't know.
Yeah, they've all had success, and so that's where the optimism comes from.
It's interesting. I was thinking to myself just now. I was like, last year, if you were to say, you know what, Tanner, Gannon's gone, and I could have told you that 2 years ago, but Gannon's gone, and someone's gonna say, hey, you're gonna get the Rams offensive coordinator. Would you have thought that you would have been the last team to get that job? It doesn't seem like the Rams offensive coordinator should be getting the last job.
No, I agree. Also, of course, Matt LaFleur, that was the other one. So,
duh.
Yeah. So if the question was, if you ask me who the last person to get a job would be, it'd be the Rams offensive coordinator in any cycle. Is that your question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be really. Yeah, that is my question. It's very odd.
Even though Kevin O'Connell, well, here's the thing. I think the year that Kevin O'Connell got hired, did they not actually win the Super Bowl? And that's actually
I think going into playoffs kind of yeah.
I do think Clint Kubiak is one of the more desirable candidates in this cycle, but they can't announce it yet because he's got to complete the season, and so sometimes I do think that the further you go in the playoffs, it does push the process back a little bit, and that's just a flaw in the system. But no, I know, I get your point. Technically, that role is perceived better than most generic roles, and so
absolutely,
I'm excited. Do what?
Oh, I'd be ecstatic if I found out that like my coaching vacancy was filled by the Rams offensive coordinator. I'd be thrilled, and he's young, and like, I don't know. I'd be really psyched if I was a Cardinals fan. So I'm psyched for you guys. Honestly, I mean, it's offensive minded. I mean, and what's so funny? Like Jacoby Brissett came in and did admirably, But I was very interested to see, even though he performed well, your guy's record was like poor, very poor with him at quarterback. Was it due to offensive ineptitude from Jacoby Brissett, or was it more of just like garbage yards because the defense was bad? What basically my question is like, do you think this offense has a lot further ground to get gained than the defense? Like which unit do you think has more to gain from where they're at? Like who's further behind?
That's a good question. Um, I think I
It
was
seemed like the
more
Cardinals did
just
well on offense. I don't know.
yeah. So remember the game where Jacoby Brissett he set the record for completions in a game?
It was a
I don't
fun
remember
watch.
the specifics, but of the like 47 completions or whatever the number was that he had, I think it was something like mid 20s or even high 20s of those completions came when the score was like three scores down by that point.
So, yeah, I mean,
So,
it was a garbage game for sure. Garbage
yeah.
time.
But to be fair, obviously we lost 14 of the last 15 games. So, like, it didn't lead to any success whatsoever. But I do think optics matter in a certain sense. The offense functioned differently than it did with Kyler.
Hmm.
And in some ways, I think it had a better flow and rhythm to it. And you could tell there were segments of the field, whether it's like the middle of the field or maybe, deeper shots were taken that weren't being taken with Kyler. And certain guys were able to elevate their game under Jacoby Brissett.
Michael Wilson.
And Michael Wilson being the
There you
main guy.
go.
Trey
Just say it, man.
McBride is he's the
Say the
best tight
legend's
end in the
name.
league. He's going to produce in any offense. I get it. Marv had his ups and downs, dealt with injuries, dealt with inconsistent play. Michael Wilson was the main guy.
Yeah.
That there was a clear elevation under Jacoby Brissett. I always liked his talent, and so I do feel like he was underutilized. It was the same coaching staff. No, the main difference though, it was Kyler. So it does have you wondering, like, well, does Kyler actually have kind of like crutches on some of these guys, and doesn't allow them to reach their max potential? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but at the end of the day, like I said, we lost 14 to 15 to finish the year. It didn't lead to results. Trust me, like we're not like some like super talented like 1992 Team USA basketball, but we're not completely like depth of talent where like we have guys, so there were some expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, I think the defense definitely has a long way to go. I think the offense has pieces in Arizona. I I really wish the running back committee would be more cleared. From a fantasy perspective, I wish I knew who the guy was, just personally and selfishly. But
well,
it
okay,
seems as
so
though,
remember,
yeah,
James Conner broke his ankle in week 3, and he
yeah,
was done for the year.
yeah.
And then I think the very next week,
And then
I
Trey
think
Benson
Trey
just
Trey
he
Benson
goes
got
down.
hurt. He was he was on the 4-week IR, but for the rest of the year. So like
Mm.
you always saw like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, he's finally
He's coming.
eligible to come off. Finally eligible to come off. And then it got to the point where what are we risking here? I don't want him to get hurt again for nothing.
So who's going to be RB1 when they come back?
So James Conner's under contract for 1 more year, but his contract is easily cuttable. He is easily he could
he's going to
easily
be
be a cap casualty. So
yeah.
really there's two outcomes I see here. One, he's not. I do not think he's coming back on this current deal. So he either takes a pay cut if he wants to stay, or he does get cut. I do not see him coming back at his current rate. And I would agree with that. Like that's how I would approach it. I love James Conner. He's got a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
He's been the heart. Like even though Kyler has been the focal point in how we build the team, James Conner is the heartbeat of the offense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's just the harsh reality. I think he might be 30 now, which is not really the number or the age that you want to be reaching as a running back. So now you're vulnerable to being in spots like this where the team can kind of just dangle your um, spot on the team on over your head. Um, so
Yeah, with that. Yeah.
I think but I do think he likes it here, and I don't know what kind of deal he can get outside of here. So I think there's a high chance that he does end up just taking a pay cut to stay.
And would he be the starter,
But
or would he
your
just serve a
question was
complimentary
who's
role?
RB1, right?
Yeah. He'll be here, but
Yeah.
what roles
So
he serve?
yeah, so Trey Benson, he just didn't play that much in year one.
Is this his
Not really
third
sure what
year?
to do. So he'll be entering his third year. So he's
Okay.
played two. And last year, going into the year last year, there was a lot of talk. Oh, we have two running back ones, and so we really didn't get to see that tested. When I
Yeah.
hear run two RB1s, I hear running back by committee. I hear a 50-50 split. Like I said, James Conner, he got hurt, in week 3. It wasn't I don't think it was 50-50 at that point. So at that rate it really wasn't a 50-50, but maybe as the year progressed, his workload would have, caught up to 50-50.
Now,
But
what
yeah, we didn't get that opportunity.
I mean, I watched a lot of Rams football. I had Kyron Williams on my fantasy team and Blake Corum, and I kind of wonder if they're going to utilize that same mentality because they literally went Kyron for one drive, Blake Corum for the next drive. I know, like
Kind of like that though.
yeah, it was very effective, and their rushing efficiency, even if one guy didn't like stand out and get like all the carries, Kyron Williams still ended up with 1,100 yards and double-digit touchdowns, but they made the most of like their drives. I mean, think about that. Kyron only played about 50% of the drives and he got 1,000 yards. Blake Corum had
Yeah.
over 600 yards. So if you can make that system work in Arizona, that'd be huge. Like imagine that. Imagine a 1-2 punch where James Conner stays fresh, where utilizing his battering ram style, but he's older, so you have to kind of take the foot off the gas a little bit, and then you can let Trey Benson be that spell back. And if I remember, even though he looked impressive in the times, it's not like he's been bad. I think he's been pretty spry looking in the games he's played, right? I mean, he hasn't been like
So I had a buddy who I was when we drafted Trey Benson. You learn about him. You're excited because he ran like a sub 4.40, but he still had some like girth to him. So you liked his talent. And then when he got to us, especially it started in the preseason, I had a buddy who tried to ruin him for me by saying, "Ooh, he kind of looks like David Johnson after he got paid." Now that is like that's not a good thing around here. That's when he got super hesitant.
kind of looks
He
washed.
well, you know how we like to credit Le'Veon Bell with patience. It was
Yeah.
like it wasn't patience. It was like hesitancy.
Oh,
And so
he's not
and
hitting the
when he
hole.
put that in my head, I couldn't unsee it because I was like, oh my gosh, like I kind of see it too.
Wow.
And then last year he had a couple big runs, and you saw more decisiveness where he just got north and south, and he's got the big playability that James Conner doesn't have. And
Yeah.
so you're never going to see James Conner truly break away. Someone's going to catch him at some point. As hard as it's going to be to take him down, it may take a while. It may even take a couple guys, but he's not running away from you. So they both have their role in the offense. Um, you mentioned how the Rams, they do like a alternating series situation.
Yeah.
I think that sounds great. But I think you also have to have the personnel to do that too. Kyron Williams is a good player. I like Blake Horn. I think he's a good player. I think we may have that. Like, let's just say that it ends up being James Conner and Trey Benson. I could totally see a duo like that. I kind of like the idea of it being like 60-40 Trey Benson, but then going into the fourth quarter, having a fresher James Conner and just, ramming it down your like James Conner's he's a bulldog, like he's a rhino. Like I want that pounding in the fourth quarter, and I want the fresh version of that coming in the fourth quarter. So yeah, if it's someone like James Conner and a Trey Benson, I would be down for that.
Yeah, I mean, again, super excited for Super excited for LaFleur to be in Arizona. I always love thinking about how the former team's like offense is going to line up with the new team. Like who's going to be this player, who's going to be this player's role, and you try to get ahead of that. Like I remember when Kevin O'Connell went to Minnesota, and I was like, oh. Justin Jefferson's going to be in the Cooper Cup role. I'm taking him
Yeah.
number one in fantasy. And
Well,
it
that
worked.
worked.
Like it
Yeah.
actually worked. And I was like, wow, this is actually a good strategy. So I'm thinking to myself, well, who's going to be the Puka Nakua in the Arizona offense? Is it going to be Marvin Harrison? Is it going to be Michael Wilson? Fantasy mock drafts, get fired up, man. Get ready to get wrong. Get ready to be
Well, I
wrong.
want to actually comment on that Cooper Cup and Justin Jefferson thing. I do remember specifically with that situation, there was something that came out that Justin Jefferson went to Kevin O'Connell, and he's like, "I want to be Cooper Cup," and it forced what made Cooper Cup special in those offenses was his ability to play every the X,
Yeah.
the Y, the Z, and so he kind of looked at him. He's like, "Well, then you're gonna have to learn all this," and so I mean, yeah, Kevin O'Connell can know how to do it, but then there has to be the willingness on the player side as well. So
Looking at you,
um,
Marvin Harrison Jr. Looking
I'm
at
looking at
you.
Marv as like wanting to be. It's funny. A comp I did hear quite a bit for Marv coming out was Devontae Adams, and so
Okay.
that could be kind of cool. I
He can
guess
just
at
get
this
1 yard
stage of his
touchdowns all
career,
year.
yeah, at this stage of his career, maybe you want to be more of the Puka.
Yeah.
But hey, don't get me wrong. I don't mind having two. Like we got two guys to fill. Like we have two roles to fill here. We got the Puka and we got the Devontae Adams role to fill. Now with Michael Wilson, I'm still a believer in Marv. He has the talent that didn't just disappear. I still have probably more upside for Marv than I do with Michael Wilson. Even though what we saw with Michael Wilson to finish the year was awesome. He ended up with 1,000 yards, which is really cool.
Wow.
Like, and that was after starting the season with 200 yards. Like,
Yeah.
so, like,
Just a
1,000 yards really meant something.
wide receiver 2, solid depth piece. He's good, type of thing. He's all
But
right.
it's all about the players too. You look at the Rams tight end room. That's a strong group as a whole. It like they're greater the sum of their parts, right?
Yeah.
And as a group, I think they're really good. But you're not going to look at one guy that you're like, oh, I fear. I gotta
Yeah,
match up every week.
there's
That's
no
not the
Trey
case here.
Benson.
We got one.
Not Trey
We got our
Benson.
guy.
There's no Trey McBride. I got my Treys mixed up. There's no Trey McBride in that group. It really isn't. But they utilize all of them in different ways, which makes me like worried. Like, are they going to put 3 tight ends out in the Cardinals? Like, are they going to start drafting tight ends and running some 3 tight ends? Oh my gosh, that'd be oh my gosh, what a formation. So yeah, so Arizona's got their guy. We'll give you guys more updates on have they filled out the other smaller positional coaches yet, or they?
Nope. We had guys being plucked off our staff. I think today we lost like a passing game coordinator.
Oh,
We've lost a
Petzig.
couple other guys. So yeah, we're in the addition side with everyone else, but we lost our special team coach.
Yeah.
The one guy though that's kind of interesting, that's kind of been like hanging around, is Nick Rollis, the former DC. He's technically, I call him former, but it's not official that he will retain that role, even though he's still under contract apparently. I just assumed he was just going to follow Jonathan Gannon wherever he went and just be
Yeah,
a
I mean,
coach.
he used to be in Philly with him, so yeah.
But there's a non-zero chance that he actually does stay as a defensive coordinator, depending on who he can or can't get. Personally, I'd rather go big fish hunting.
Yeah.
If we're going to go with the inexperienced guy, I'm excited about Mike LaFleur, but I would like to add some experience. Even if they don't have head coaching experience, I do think having just experience would still go a long way. We do the Mike McVay comparison. What was a huge factor in the early success there? He got to be paired up with Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips had a lot of experience, not only as a DC, but even had head coaching experience. So, are there names out there that we could find on the defensive side to pair with Mike LaFleur? A name that was brought up today was Wink Martindale. there might be more name there than there is substance. He had some success with Baltimore a couple years ago. I think the years I know Lamar's on the offense, but the years that Lamar came out like early on his career, I think those were the really good Ravens defenses. He's a high blitz rate guy. Not
Yeah,
really sure
yeah.
how I feel about that, but he's got a lot of experience, and that's probably his top, pro for me. He doesn't have head coaching experience though, so um, I think a lot of people would be interested in Cleveland's defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. He kind of fits both. He's got both the head coaching experience and a big long pedigree on the defensive side as a coordinator. A lot of success there, but he's under contract. There's a lot of weird stuff. Don't really want to get too deep into that because he may not become available for anyone, as attractive as he may be for us. So no, I also heard there's a report we're a long ways away from a defensive coordinator, so we'll see.
Wow.
Given our history, it's likely going to be an inexperienced guy. Best case scenario, if it is, likely someone from the Ram staff, someone who has familiarity with Mike LaFleur.
Yeah, Wink Martindale never struck me as a guy I was necessarily too worried about. I have, history with him as a Giants defensive coordinator, and this was back before they had like a loaded defensive line. Like, now they got, defensive line talent out the wazoo, but back in the day, they just had to rely on blitzing a ton because they didn't have much talent on the team. And it kind of made up for the fact they couldn't generate a 4-man pass rush. So they just blitzed all the time and they would get them burned all the time. So I don't know if that's a great fit in today's
Yeah, those
NFL.
Giants defenses, they were kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
Remember, he actually spent some time at Michigan,
Oh,
and
I think I remember
the
that.
one
Yeah.
interesting connection is he was the defensive coordinator for Will Johnson, not his last year, but the prior year. So I don't know if you remember, Will Johnson's best year wasn't the year he came out. It was the year before he came out.
Yeah, he kind of took a
And
step back his
like
last
Will
year.
Johnson was like a top 5 pick lock after that year. Comes back, has some injuries, and then his profile gets kind of dinged a little bit, and he got nitpicked a lot. So, but yeah, the year that really got him as like a top 5 guy was under Wink Martindale. I don't know. You hire a guy because of a single second round corner, but it was just an interesting connection.
It's always cool to see that connection. So I guess that's a interesting segue for us to kind of jump back into the Philadelphia offensive coordinator search. We had some news broke that yes, we did hire an offensive coordinator, and it's Packers quarterbacks coach Sean Mannion. For longtime listeners of Birds Coast to Coast, and yes, that is all 3 episodes, you would know that I didn't expect the guy to be hired to be on my worst list or my best list. I kind of assumed neither would he'd be on neither list just because that's how it goes. However, there are some good things about Sean Mannion. There are some questionable things about Sean Mannion. For those who don't know, this is his second year of coaching. He's only been the quarterbacks coach for the Packers for 1 year. And before that, he was an offensive quality control coach. So, just a general assistant, I guess, in that respect. He oversaw the quarterback, Jordan Love. He had a good year. I wouldn't say it was like a phenomenal year by any stretch, right? Would you say Jordan Love had a phenomenal year? I think it was pretty. I'd say like a B plus year, Tanner. Like, would you kind of
We're
say that
talking
was
about
Jordan
his
Love's?
last year.
Yeah. Jordan Love's year. I mean, it was like a B plus, right? Like a B. It
He
wasn't
was a
like
dark horse MVP candidate going into the year.
yeah,
I was
yeah. They
very high on
started
the Packers overall.
very high
Um,
early on. Kind of fizzled
I
out.
didn't
Got
really
hurt a
see
lot.
anything that, yeah,
No,
nothing
nothing.
really stood out to me that
Not nothing.
that
Not yeah. And a lot of people are pointing, oddly enough, not to Jordan Love, but to the development of Malik Willis, which I can't believe we're using one game to kind of like justify an offensive coordinator hire, because Malik Willis, I watched that whole game against the Ravens, Packers Ravens, on the last week of the season. He looked great. He looked awesome. He
didn't we do
probably
this
might.
with Matt Flynn?
Yeah, we did. And Malik Willis might earn himself like a camp battle job, maybe maybe a spot to maybe compete for a position for starting quarterback since he is a free agent. but a lot of people thought he looked great, and he
Yeah,
kind of
I
was.
think he might. No, I think there's going to be a lot of teams who want him as a starter.
Yeah, so he might be one of those Justin Field types where he just kind of bounces around as like a stopgap type quarterback. I think it could work. Listen, I love Malik Willis. I mean, he's a great, he's got a lot of tools, and I think if Sean Mannion was the guy who kind of brought those tools to its apex, then yeah, I think there is something there. A little bit more history about Sean Mannion. He, even though he hasn't coached for a very long time, he's played quarterback. I think his last year of playing was 2023. So he's actually like a pretty recent hire as a coach. He's not, someone who's been out of the game for that far too long. He bounced around between a lot of teams, Rams, Vikings being a couple, but he played under a lot of great offensive coordinators and people who weren't coordinators but were coaches at the time. They played with Sean McVay. They played with Stefanski. They played a little bit with Shanahan. They played a little bit with Liam Cohen. They played a little bit with Clint Kubiak. So, like, all these names that you're hearing during this coaching cycle were guys he played under. So the question becomes, can he take those concepts that he learned as a player and institute them into an offense and then lead this team, not just like with schematics, but with play calling, which will be something he's brand new at. He's never called plays at any level, and just leading this group of men. He's 33. I'm 32. Aren't you 33? Like we're that's how old we are. So like
I'm
imagine
exactly 33 and a half today.
Yeah, so imagine walking into the Philadelphia Eagles NovaCare complex, slamming your fist down on the table and say, Jalen Hurts, you're going to listen to me, Mr. Super Bowl MVP. Like, that's a huge task. Like, and I get it. I hear how much this guy is, like, super smart, and there is definitely something to be said about that. But that's my huge concern, Tanner, just like his lack of experience. Like, he's not done this before. And, and if I'm going to be honest and say I wasn't the biggest Kevin Patullo guy because he didn't have experience, I can't now turn around and say, oh, I like this guy because, for the same reasons. The only thing I can say is he's going to potentially bring new ideas. Like, even if he might not be new at this, he's going to have new ideas. He's going to bring something from outside the Sirianni, Patullo echo chamber bubble. No more hitch routes. I saw a lot of the combo routes that he ran. A lot of them were way different than what we've been running. So even if he may be new as a coordinator, he's going to bring some new like ideas and concepts that I think are going to be pretty refreshing. What did you think about the hire, Tanner? Was that something that kind of caught you out of left field? And did you know anything about Sean Mannion beforehand besides the fact that he played for a little bit?
I knew he played in the NFL. I remember briefly his career at Oregon State. I don't remember it really being much. I think you said he was a third-round pick.
Yeah.
I've seen more talented guys go later than that, so he must have really hit it off. Looks like with the Rams that year, with a position coach or quarterback coach. Yeah, so like from a playing perspective, I mean, I'm looking here. He only had 14 career games, so he clearly just filled in when there were gaps.
Yeah,
From a coaching perspective, just because he played in just 14 games, I mean, he's still there and he's still in the meeting rooms and
oh, absolutely, he's soaking up everything
every single day. So he's still getting that PhD from both Sean McVay and Kevin O'Connell. If I had to choose, 2, 3, 4 places that I want to get a PhD in offense, it's going to be with the Rams. It's going to be with the Vikings, maybe Kansas City, San Francisco. Like there's a clear tier 1 of situations I want to get my PhD in, and he seems to only have gone there. We went to East Carolina University, but
go Pirates.
No dogging us. I like my chances with a Harvard or a Yale guy in my team.
No,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Not every situation's the same. So
for sure,
I do like how his upbringing was just the best of the best.
I think what Eagles fans and myself have to hope for is that he comes in and has a similar career to early Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore was in a very similar situation when he was like the hotshot OC in Dallas. He was only a couple years removed from being quarterback. He had a similar career, backup most of the years, right? Kellen Moore didn't start. But I do remember him coming out of Boise State. He bounced around. He's kind of a name you hear in the back of your head. And then, bang, offensive coordinator for the Cowboys after only a couple of years of coaching, just like Sean Mannion. And he was, I believe, top 5 in points those years that he was in. He came out really strong in Dallas. So, I think there's some parallels. I think we have an offensive staff that's really star-studded with a lot of good star players at different positions, kind of like Dallas was when he first came up. A good offensive line, just like Dallas when they came up, and a good running game. Well, should be a good running game, hopefully this year, like Zeke had, like he had with Zeke in Dallas. So I hopefully see the connections there. Big swing. This could be
Well, let me
a
ask,
swing that, yeah. Go ahead.
let me ask you this: what if he never got drafted? What if he went straight into coaching? And instead of
Ooh.
being a backup or a third string quarterback as his title, he started as, an assistant quarterback coach, a quarterback coach, assistant to the offensive coordinator. What if instead of all of these player titles, that he was actually just an official coach? Then
I
does it
think
feel different? Like,
I
it's
kind of see
almost
where
like,
you're coming from.
from my perspective, we look at it as, well, his only experience is 14 games in a 5-6 year career. He didn't do much. But the reality is,
Practices,
how much
meetings.
different is he as a third string quarterback
Then Nate
as he was
Shieldhouse.
as a quarterback coach? Like, you're in the room just as much. Maybe you don't get like a final say in something, but you're still there and you're still, taking the notes and you're learning from McVay. You're still learning from Kevin O'Connell. Like, in a way, a quarterback coach is almost like a non-playing third string quarterback. Does that make
That's a good
sense?
point. No, and you know what? I'm going to contrast that with Declan Doyle, who's 29,
No. He's
28,
29, the same age
29.
as Lamar.
So my question is, if you're going to compare that to the Declan Doyle situation, who's younger and to my knowledge did not play in the NFL,
Mhm.
like I kind of see where you're coming from. You may argue that Sean Mannion has more experience than Declan Doyle, just because he's been around the league as a third string or second string quarterback. And like you said, that doesn't count. Just because he played so many games doesn't mean that like he wasn't around for the meetings, coaching up other quarterbacks, scout team quarterbacks, being there for the young rookies who come in behind him. I mean, there's probably situations where he was teaching people constantly and learning in those meeting rooms for his entire career. So,
So,
uh,
and it
yeah.
looks like he was with the Rams from 16 to 18, and then he went to the
Mm-hmm.
Vikings in 19. Now, I could be getting my years mixed up. Um, but like, who was he coaching under with the Vikings? Do we know?
Well, LaFleur.
No, I'm sorry. So in 19 he was a player. Do we know who the player was?
Or the
Who
coach
was
was
the
for
sorry,
19.
who was the coach? Who was the coach as a player with the Vikings?
Oh, I don't know the Vikings situation. I just remember there was a list of
Okay.
names that I listed off of, but it didn't say with who. I just said he's played under
Okay.
these names. It may have been Kubiak, maybe Clint Kubiak before he went to Seattle. Not sure how long
Okay.
he's been there, but yeah.
Yeah,
So that's kind of,
I guess my overall point is I don't really see that much different of a role between the third string quarterback and I like say a quarterback coach. So I'm not going to diminish the fact that he was a third string guy because he wasn't a quarterback coach or an assistant or whatever title. I actually probably see them as very similar roles. So I'm going to value it equally, and I'm not going to act like his coaching career is lesser because he was playing. I think it's an extension of his coaching experience is how I would say
yeah.
it.
It's not like Sean Mannion just blipped into existence and like started becoming a coach. He did nothing before that in the league. Like,
He
oh,
was
I'm
not a teacher or an accountant or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Exactly. So he's got some experience. Now, will he be able to lead a group of men and, get those personalities in check? Who knows? But we'll see. And I'm excited to officially put an end to the hitch route era. And maybe we can get some crossers. And who knows? Maybe Devontae Smith can be the next, like, I don't know, like Jackson Smith and Jigba. Who knows? Maybe if,
I beg that he at least lasts 2 years. I
yeah.
think Jake. Oh, he deserves it.
Unless this now anything's on the table after Patullo getting. Listen, if you start putting Patullo numbers up, anything's on the table. In my opinion, Eagle fans are gonna start calling
Oh,
for
no,
people's heads.
I wasn't saying, hey, you know what, Jalen deserves another year of KP. No,
Yeah,
if it's bad, it's
no,
bad. Get him out of there.
no, thanks. And I think that transitions us. Oh, by the way, before I move on to the Fangio thing, there was one more thing on the offensive staff that changed. There was a name that did get added to our offensive staff that was on my wish list. It was the guy who
Oh
I
yes.
didn't want, Josh Grizzard from Lizard Lick, North Carolina. Actually, he came from the Buccaneers offensive coordinator job, uh, but he's from Lizard Lick, and I think it's funny because his name is Grizzard. It looks like lizard, and his town is Lizard Lick. I don't know, a lot of Z's going on, but so he's been named the pass game coordinator, and I think that's pretty interesting because he's another young guy. I think he's only like 35. So again, another youngish guy, but he does have play calling experience. Um, I was not the biggest fan of his in Tampa Bay, not because of his system per se. I just saw the results coming from a fantasy owner and didn't love what I was seeing from Bucky Irving or Emeka Ibuka. He may have had great systems up and drawn, but maybe the players just didn't execute. I will say that there was some quarterback play issues in Tampa Bay that I think were making things a little bit challenging for him, probably. I wouldn't be shocked if we find out that Baker had like a long-standing injury throughout the year because he was kind of like battling some sort of hip issue, and you could just tell he was missing throws left and right. So he had a 1-year stint in Tampa Bay, and the offense was fine. I just that team kind of fell apart, and I don't want to put it on him, but I keep thinking to myself like, oh man, like if he was, would he be available if they truly thought he was like worth holding on to? Like if you think he's going from OC, a young guy, to being a pass game coordinator, I don't know about you, but that seems like a slight demotion. A little bit
Yeah,
like,
it was a tough situation because the Bucks OC job produced back to back head coaches. Remember, Dave Canales was the Buccaneers
yeah,
OC before he took over for the Panthers.
and then Liam
Liam
Cohen.
Cohen might be the head coach of the year this year when he's taken over for the Jaguars. So, there was a bit of like, hey, this role is a stepping stone. We got a good system here. We shouldn't miss a beat. We got the quarterback. We got a solid offensive line. We got a lot of playmakers. And the fact that it didn't look the same probably it's not the best look for him. But
I mean, look,
I don't think it means like there's a lot that
injuries,
happened in
man.
Tampa Bay last year.
Injuries.
I think
Bucky
Baker
Irving goes
covered.
down. Baker
Yeah,
gets hurt. Mike Evans gets hurt. Chris Godwin starts the year hurt. Emeka Ibuka was hurt for most, like tweaked things and went bad for most of the year after like the midpoint of the year. So a lot of
yeah.
injuries. So maybe we
A
get
lot of
lucky.
things that Canales and Cohen didn't have to deal with.
Absolutely. So again, I think it's a positive. Gets a guy who has play calling experience in the building. Again, breaking the Nick Sirianni hitch route echo chamber. Love seeing that. So I think it's just going to be a
Is he the
positive
pass
to
game
get
coordinator? What's his title?
pass game coordinator. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
So
I'm
your
really
pass game coordinator has as much play calling experience as my head coach.
he's got more than our offensive coordinator does. So yeah, it's kind of
Wow.
weird. So
Yeah.
okay, so now I can do a jumping off point into the the heartburn that's been being caused across the Delaware Valley. It all started when Adam Schefter started talking about the naming of Sean Mannion, and then they said, "Yeah, they're going to announce it." And you never know, something else might come out too. And that thing where like they vaguely kind of allude to
He knew what he
something,
was
but won't.
doing.
Yeah, they won't flat out say it. I hate that kind of like reporting.
He knew what he was
Well,
doing.
he knew what he was doing, and it's just say it. Like you're Adam Schefter, you can say it. Like I don't know why you're waiting. Maybe he just didn't feel comfortable saying it there, but reports came
He
out
speculated
about
before too. It's not like there's this hard rule that he has that only
yeah.
when things are official.
Why are you teasing me, Adam? But anyway,
It says
it
all the
turns
time,
out
Coach X plans to sign a deal with Team X. Like,
But but what ended up happening was it ended up like, oh, is Sirianni getting fired? Oh, are they
yeah,
trading someone? Like it turns into like who knows what, and it could be anything under the sun. Well, it turns out Vic Fangio has had some mullings of retirement, and this is not actually something that started this year. Apparently, he had to be convinced to come back last year after the Super Bowl, per report, and he was perfectly fine with riding off into the sun, but they convinced him to come back. And he was quoted as saying he's going to come back as long as it's still fun for him. I should have saw the reading on the wall when he even joined us, and the reason he joined us is because he just wanted to like retire here. He even said that like he wants to be done here because he lives here, he lives near here, and he wants to go see Phillies games. So like shame on me for thinking this was going to be like some like long-standing coaching tenure. Like it was always going to be short. He flat out said, I'm good. This is going to be where I retire." But he literally meant that. He didn't mean like he was going to stay here forever. He meant it as though this is my retirement spot. Get ready. So, so when they find out and say, "Oh yeah, you might retire this year," and then they kind of ask him to come back, I'm just worried because we let Christian Parker go out the door, and now he's the Cowboys defensive coordinator. And I don't really talk much about Christian Parker, but he's a really, really great assistant defensive coach, the secondary coach. Players loved him. He's done so much great work with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. And I think and Reed Blankenship for sure because he came out as an undrafted free agent. He's turned himself into a solid starter. Letting him walk to Dallas and be the defensive coordinator, only to see this news break that Vic Fangio is considering retirement. Now he has been said that they said that he will be back this year. There's not been any official reports that
yeah.
he'll be back, but things are trending that he will. But that doesn't help me sleep at night. And am I gonna like wake up and the Phillies have an over extra inning walk off loss, and he's like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. Break Bryce Harper like twists an ankle, and he's like, screw this, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't. That's worrying because now all the defensive coordinator, all this coaching cycles dried up, and apparently the Eagles reached out to Jonathan Gannon and they reached out to Jim Schwartz over the past week. Who I wonder why.
Former
I want
Eagles defensive, not just former DCs, but specifically their DCs.
the Eagle, yeah, so they have a history there.
That's
So
pretty cool.
I just wonder exactly what this looks like for the future because I'm going to tell you right now, this is not going over well in Philadelphia. People are losing their minds. People are saying Vic Fangio is the heart of this team. They're saying like he's going to hold Howie hostage and say like if you don't sign N'Kobe Dean or if you don't sign Reed Blankenship, I'm out the door. Because they're both free agents, and now it's just a speculation storm, and it's really turning into something that I wasn't wanting to deal with, but here we are. Every day in Philadelphia is its own soap
Is
opera.
N'Kobe Dean worth like retiring over,
I don't know, but people
or are
are
you
like
just throwing out a name?
No, I'm speculating at this point because you gotta think like he might like N'Kobe Dean a lot, and I think he does. I think he's one of the leaders on defense, and who knows, maybe Vikinja is like, look, I don't want to coach this defense if I don't have my guys. Because at this point, doesn't he have the leverage? Can't he go to Howie and say, "I want my players, or I'm not coaching"? Like, why wouldn't I feel like he has somewhat of that leverage. I mean, he's the best defensive coordinator we've had since Jim Johnson. So, like, I don't see why
If
like
we were
him
to
making some
put
demands.
all potential defensive coordinators in a pool, and we got to just start picking like which ones we want, like if we have a draft. I mean, how many coaches are you picking before Vic Fangio?
He's
I
like
don't
top
even know.
5, a top 3. I mean, he's got his own defensive philosophy. I mean, there's people that have the Fangio system. He's
Yeah,
Fangio, so it's tough, and I'm worried about it. I think it'd be a huge drop of the ball if he ends up retiring and we didn't promote Christian Parker, who was on staff for years, and apparently people knew about this and said he was going to retire. And like, oh, we didn't all of a
was
sudden be like,
Christian
hey,
Parker a Fangio guy, or is he just like added to the staff?
oh, that's a great question. I think he came with Fangio.
Like,
Not sure.
okay, so let's just say in a scenario, like Jonathan Gannon had to retire, whatever. You could kind of link Nick Rallis as like he's a JG guy. He's going to easily, seamlessly flow upward. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious: is he like a disciple, or was he like a? Could he have been like a? Hey, he's like a coach in waiting. Like once Fangio leaves, this is his predecessor.
I just wish they kind of got out ahead of this and they kind of realized like, oh, I know he's gonna retire, so I'm gonna have someone ready. Kind of like what they did with Cam Jurgens and Jason Kelsey. Like they prepared
If
that.
Vic Fangio retired 2 weeks ago, is Christian Parker the DC today? And I think that's what your point is like, man, had we known about this, he may have just stayed.
But it sounds like they
Now he's
did.
Oh,
But
you're
here's the
saying he did?
thing. No, we have known. Remember, after last Super Bowl last year, he was like mulling retirement, and we convinced him back to come back. So the Eagles knew that he's been like iffy on retiring for
It was
quite
year to
at
year.
least year to year. So if you're year to year, you should have someone ready in case it happens. Now, what is
Is that easier
unfair?
said than done though?
Yes, and I was about to say it is easier said than done because you can't not let Christian Parker go get his coaching opportunity because Vic Fangio is like iffy. You know what I mean? Like that's not fair to Christian Parker. If there's a job opportunity for him to go get, you can't say no. You have to stay in case our guy retires. Like that's not fair. I just wish that timing was a little better. Um,
Yeah.
but it's just unfortunate, and I think that's kind of what happened. Now, again, I don't think we're in any like red alert mode quite yet. I think for now we're safe, but they need to start figuring things out for next year now. Like things need to be like tabulated. Guys need to be like pinpointed. You need to start getting on Jim Schwartz's phone call and start talking to him because I would love Jim Schwartz back. He had a great couple years with us in 2017 when we had great players, and I think but I don't know. I don't know if that'll work, but we'll see. They do play similar systems. He relies on a 4-man rush too. So, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with the Eagles defensive coordinator situation.
Do we want to do
Um,
like a weekly recap around the NFL?
yeah, yeah. So
Not
I was about to
just
say
our teams.
let's jump into that. So
Okay.
what do you want to start
We
with?
weren't the Cardinals and the Eagles. We weren't the only teams that hired guys around the league.
Yeah,
Looks like we had a handful of coaching hires. Let's start with on the offensive side. So we had the Broncos hired Davis Webb. He got promoted from within. The Bills hired Pete Carmichael, who
yeah,
actually came from Sean Payton.
yeah. Saints.
Um,
Yeah.
we got guy you mentioned earlier briefly. The Ravens hired Declan Doyle.
Hmm.
He came from Chicago. We got the New York Giants. I believe it was today actually hired Matt Nagy. That's an interesting one because I think they had Todd Monken pretty early on after John Harbaugh.
I already penciled it
Um,
in.
yeah, and then obviously we had the Eagles hiring Sean Mannion. Ravens also hired a defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver. A little disappointed because I thought he would have been an option here in Arizona. He was interviewed as a head coaching candidate, and so sometimes you over interview someone, so you bring them in for the head coaching role just to see maybe if they still have interest as a defensive coordinator. So that was the name, and then you know, there may be an opening in Cleveland. There's a lot going there with Jim Schwartz. Doesn't seem like he was very happy about being passed over for the head coaching role there. So that's a name I am definitely interested to see where he lands. As far as the three head coaches that were hired, Raiders and Cardinals hired their guys, Clint Kubiak and Mike LaFleur, and then Cleveland hired Todd Monken to be their head coach. Um, we came into this with only one GM opening, and it was filled by the Falcons, Ian Cunningham. He came from Chicago. But then we actually got another uh, GM opening in Minnesota.
Hmm.
Kwesi Adofo-Mensah got fired. I it's weird. A lot of reporters are coming out saying, "No, I'm not surprised at all." But if you're not surprised, like the surprising aspect of it was the timing. Apparently, he
Hmm.
was at the Senior Bowl doing his job, scouting, making connections with guys. Why would you send him, or why would you go if there was any kind of dispute on like, am I even going to like have this role anymore? So the timing of that's what's weird to me. But that job wise, that's kind of what's gone around the league. News wise, since we last recorded a podcast, Bill Belichick did not get into the Hall of Fame on his first try, which is
Oh
interesting.
man.
Yeah, and then today, Robert Kraft did not get in as well. Maybe since Belichick didn't get in, we should have expected that. Do you have any thoughts on Belichick? Seems like
This
everyone else thinks it's a
it's
travesty.
a
Sounds like
Spygate
we just
thing.
need to get rid of the Hall of Fame altogether. I guess
It's a
those are
Spygate.
the rules.
Listen, listen. It's a club, and they all decided that, or at least enough of them decided that they were gonna keep them out, the Patriots, coach and front office, because of the Spygate thing. I think I've seen reporting, and I think some other voters have kind of hinted that that was a potential hangup for a lot of the other voters. I think it's a travesty. I mean, say what you want. And look, Spygate was a huge issue. Deflategate was a huge issue. Look, Spygate may have directly cost and given me my first sorrows as a fan of football, of any football team. Like the Eagles Super Bowl in 2004 was like the first, I would say, like my spawn in point. You say like a kid spawns in, like you actually like have gained consciousness. That was my game where I gained consciousness. So like seeing T.O. play on a broken ankle and, or broken leg, sorry, and going off for those many yards, and we still lost. And there was a lot of speculation and, I guess evidence now since Spygate came out that the Patriots kind of used the Spygate method to kind of help them win one of those Super Bowls, and ours was involved as well. So yeah, like I feel a certain kind of way about that Spygate issue. It sucked. Now it helps to have two Super Bowls since then, but you know, listen, man, that was over 21 years ago. Like, are we really gonna hold something that was that long ago to against a guy who has the most wins? I believe he has the most Super Bowls as the head coach, right? This is, I'm not. I don't want to like that. That's easy to say.
Yeah.
He's got, yeah, easily. And Robert Kraft has just been a picture. Say what you want about his off the field things, and there has been some pretty weird and crazy off the field things. But in terms of just operating a football team,
this is a huge deal. This is a huge.
We got some breaking news. What's going on? Or what
No.
did you?
It was a
Okay, I got you. I was about to say, oh man, the soundboard's going off. I thought we had something. I was freaking out. Did Fangio retire? Oh man, don't tell me. Oh, you scared me, man. I was like, just don't hit me with that out of nowhere. But no, so he's obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer, and it reminds me of how baseball Hall of Fame voters will be like, yeah, this guy should be a unanimous Hall of Famer, but no one ever gets in unanimously, so I'm not going to vote for him. No one should be 100%. I think that was the thing for a long time before. I think, was it Mariano Rivera, who was like the first guy who got 100%, or Derek Jeter? Was it Ichiro? Someone. Well, it got broken. Someone did get 100% recently, but for a long time, there was an unwritten rule of voters where it was like, yeah,
99.8%.
Yeah, no one gets in 100%, so we're just not gonna. It was like an unwritten rule. So I kind of feel like it's like that thing mixed with like a little bit of like a little bit of feelings about the Spygate and Deflategate thing, and I think they're being held against. Like, obviously, this isn't a judge of merit. This is literally just from.
That's the point I want to make. People want to just read off his resume as if he didn't win enough Super Bowls. Like, it's obvious. He clearly is the most accomplished coach of all time, and it's not even close. So stop with the, well, did he not win enough? Well, like, no, it clearly wasn't that. There's only two possibilities why he didn't get in. One, Deflategate, Spygate, all that stuff is being held over him. The voters wanted to say, you know what? This is our chance to fight back. He wasn't good enough with the media. This is the best way that we can get him to fight back. And the other is with the process itself. I guess outside of the players, there's the contributors, the coaches, and like a senior tier of eligible guys to get into the Hall of Fame. The voters are presented with 5 guys. You can only vote for 3 guys.
Oh, wow.
Certain guys have like an expiration as to how many times they're actually eligible. You got out of like the 50 voters, you get 3 votes total amongst the 5, and you have to have at least 40 votes to get in. And there was a thought process that, hey, Belichick, he will get in eventually. I'm not going to be the deciding vote. Same with Robert Kraft. But this guy, he's only got so much left until he's just not
Oh,
eligible anymore.
got to cast
So,
my vote to keep him in
so
before he
I'm going to
gets
cast my
sent to the
vote.
Shadow Realm.
So
Yeah.
because guys haven't necessarily, some guys have come out and said, no, I did vote for him. We actually don't even know. What we know is there's at least 11. We don't, I mean, in theory, it could be 50, all 50. He could have got 0 votes. Who knows? But we know it's at least 11 guys who didn't because he didn't get in.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't even know necessarily that he's being held against with the Spygate stuff. We don't even know what it is. So we'll know next year when, the situation's different. If all of a sudden he gets 50, maybe we're like, hey, it was just to get the other guys in because they're no longer on the ballot. If he doesn't get in next year, I think it'd be easier to assume no, like some guys are actually taking a hard stance. Spygate is enough of a deal breaker for them. So yeah, I think if he gets in next year, it was proof that no, we wanted to get other guys in. I think if he doesn't get in next year, it's no, that was the steroids of football stance that the voters are taking. So there, it's just as much about the process as it is maybe voters are holding something against them. And
Was there
I'm just so irked by. I mean, we just started a podcast, so maybe this is super hypocritical. But guys who want to like hear themselves talk, oh, did he not win enough? Like it's obvious that it wasn't because they didn't win enough. No one won more.
Yeah, it smacks of like just pettiness from the voters. Wasn't there a player who didn't get in his first round? Wasn't there like a really good receiver or something who didn't
Tio,
get in?
okay, so there
Was
was
it
actually
T.O.?
there was something with receivers where no receiver ever got in on the first try. Well, Tio didn't
Weird.
get in for like 3 years. He finally got in, and he held his own Hall of Fame ceremony simultaneously with the Canton, Ohio one. He didn't because he was kind of protesting while also still having his moment to give a speech, which is kind of hilarious. But I think there's some of that baseball mentality of no one deserves to be a first ballot Hall of Famer for whatever reason. But then T.O. did rub people the wrong way too. So it clearly wasn't, performance based. He was clearly worthy on the field. So I do think in that situation, there was no cheating scandal, was there? Like, it was
No,
truly just, we don't like T.O. He's a bad guy.
it's just a shame because like there should be some level of like objectivity to inductions and to Hall of Fames. And I feel like when you have a sport where stats can be easily counted, measured, there's a stat for everything in this sport. Why is it that we're having so much, pettiness and, you know, reaction to things that happened so long ago and personal feelings about, relationships coming into play, which should be just a very cut and dry, did they perform up to their capabilities of being a Hall of Famer or did they not? You're making a
Wasn't
mockery of
O.J.
this whole
Simpson in the
process.
Hall of Fame?
Was he? I don't know.
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure.
remember.
I'm pretty sure he is. I'm just
Oh,
saying, if we're not
dang.
holding O.J. If
Yikes.
O.J. Simpson's in it, it clearly is performance on the field based.
Yeah. So, and it's odd too because Bill Belichick, from what I hear, is like I mean, I think we all kind of know this. Like, he's like a student of the game. I mean, didn't he like grow up near Canton, Ohio, like where the Hall of Fame is, and he like spent like his whole early childhood like visiting the hall, like the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So it's really
So he is
interesting
a
to see that.
historian through and through.
Yeah. Yeah. So someone who's dedicated his whole life to not just being an excellent football coach, but someone who really has like a reverence of the game's history, get treated like that by the exact institution that he respected so much is quite shameful in my opinion.
I would say if someone meant to hurt Belichick, I think for those who know him, they knew this is a way to hurt, that they knew it would sting.
It's just so weird. All right, so if you're ready to move on, I think we can move on to the big game. I think yeah, that's right, the Pro Football Championship, and that's all it's called. No, we're talking about the Super Bowl. We're talking about the bowl, the Super Bowl, if you will, the one that's played between the AFC and the NFC champions. And we have some prop bets for the game. And seeing as sports betting is legalized almost everywhere now, and it's shoved down your throats, we got some for you. But no, they're not going to be too crazy. I'm going to give Tanner over under, and we're going to talk about for the over under and see if we'd like to over under in a certain category. So I got 4 here, and the first one I have, which I think we'll agree on this one. Jackson Smith and Jigba catches 6.5.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Are you going to say over?
I'm going to say over. I think that's an easy smash for the over.
It's the Super Bowl. What are you going to do? Wait. I think the only concern is that he's going against Christian Gonzalez, who's no schmuck.
Does he travel, though? Does Christian Gonzalez move around the field? Because I know JSN will. Like, that's what I'm saying. They'll move JSN. They'll put him in the backfield.
I'm not aware of Christian Gonzalez not traveling. So until I hear otherwise, I'm going to assume he does travel.
I like it because I think if the Seahawks offense is moving, it's going to be JSN. And if they're down, they're going to try to find JSN. So like either way, either game state, you're going to find targets towards JSN. So I think it's an easy over 6.5 smash, lock it down. All right, next. As a Stephon Diggs fantasy owner, this one perplexes me. 4.5 catches.
I'm going to take the under. Diggs. Have you seen this thing about Drake May and his shoulder?
I have not.
So he was banged up after the game last week. And then last night at media day.
Yeah.
Apparently he was doing his throwing shoulder didn't move at all, but he would talk and he would clearly use his left arm, his non-throwing shoulder.
He's favoring his arm. Oh, no.
And people were like, I know you're banged up, and that shoulder ain't moving an inch.
Are you okay, buddy? Like, what's wrong?
Right. And I saw crazy. Somebody comment like, hey, when I talk, like I use my arms, I'm constantly moving. I cannot imagine only doing one side.
So anyway, I'm real excited for this game.
Right. So yeah, I'm going to. So with that, I'm going to take the under.
I think so too. I agree. Stephon Diggs has been a lock 3 catch guy for the majority of the year. He gets red zone targets and he's like a safety blanket, but in like he's like a third down type, big moment type guy, not in like I'm going to target him frequently type dude. And they spread the ball around a lot, New England. Like, Booty gets catches. I think Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins is on the Patriots now, right? Mac Hollins gets catches, and their tight ends all get different catches, and they use the running backs out of the backfield. So they spread the ball around. I just don't think it's going to be over. Although I will say, and by the way, I actually found what the betting favorite is for both of these. So JSN, the favored position is the over. More people are taking the over, and more people are taking the Stephon Diggs over for some reason. So. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we disagree with that on the general populace. I think there's a lot of Boston fans just all hyped up. But all right, so next one, we got the 2 quarterbacks. I'll start with Sam Darnold, their yardage totals. It's 230.5.
Sam Darnold, 230.5 over under?
Yep, passing
yards. Just passing?
Yeah. Would it shock me if they went... Yeah, I was about to say, would it shock me if they just play ball control and they just play efficient football and it's like a 24-21-10 game and he just ends with like 200 yards, 210 yards? I don't
think guys throw for 300 yards as much as we think they do.
No, they don't. It's really turned into an efficiency type game now. Everyone's all about just making sure.
And the more efficient you are, the more the clock runs.
Yeah.
The more the clock runs, the less plays you get. Yeah, I'm. And I don't think that means I think he'll be bad. I think he could be good and efficient. But, I mean, I think the Patriots, they got good defense, good coaching. I think he could still have a good performance, but it'd be under 230.
Look, you don't have to convince me that like quarterbacks don't have to throw for 300 yards to be efficient. I mean, Jalen Hurts literally lives between 100 yards and 220 yards his entire career. So like that's literally what he does. And I feel like at the end of the game, we're like, he did pretty good. So yeah, I think I agree with you on that. But the betting favorite is actually the over. Again, I think what I'm realizing is this is just a lot of, hyped up Super Bowl fans that just want to see a lot of explosive plays. The over is just so big on all of these.
I feel like
Everyone's betting
given
overs.
the Super Bowl is a 2-week break in between, tends to favor defenses. I would say we probably have more lower scoring Super Bowls than we do high scoring. So I think there's just excitement.
All right. And the last one that I have is Drake May. His is actually, you know what? No, I wasn't going to say that. All right. 218.5.
218.5.
Yeah.
Well, we can't throw, so I'm going to hammer it.
Yeah, seems pretty good. And his is also being betted favorite as the over. But yeah, I agree with you. Dude, we could absolutely cook up this parlay. Oh my God. What's
the favorite there?
So we have 4 that we all agree on, which makes for great content. Sorry, guys. I was kind of hoping for a disagreement, but it sounds like we all agree with all these. But I think my most favorite would be JSN catches over and probably the 2 quarterback unders. I think Stephon Diggs being under 4.5, you're kind of like hoping that that's not that big of a number. That could be like 2 drives of them getting the ball a couple times, and you're like, So
I'm not the biggest bettor, but you know what I've learned about over-unders? It is more fun to take the over.
It is.
Once it hits, it hits.
You don't have to wait the rest of the game.
You can't lose catches. But
absolutely.
If you take an under, you have to watch the whole game.
Yeah.
not that watching football is torturous, but there's no moment of, okay.
I got my hit. It hit.
Yeah, I got mine. Now we can just watch.
Yeah, so I think for me it would be JSN and then the 2 unders for the quarterback. I think that's probably the one we were most aligned on. There we go. I don't know what that is. It's probably like a plus 300 or whatever, but yes, that's our official pod parlay. And here is the fun MVP odds that I found. It has nothing to do with over unders, but do you know who the
Muffin Man?
8th overall best odds are to win the MVP are?
The 8th?
8th.
I know the 7th and the 9th, but not the 8th.
No. Okay, so you would be shocked to learn that the 8th overall highest odds to win Super Bowl MVP is the backup quarterback for the Seahawks, Drew Lock. He's higher.
Now I want to go back and see what backup quarterback has ever had the best odds. Has anyone ever had the 7th best odds?
He's higher than Cooper Kupp. Now I know Cooper Kupp.
Really?
Yes, Cooper Kupp is the 11th highest, and Drew Lock is the 8th.
I mean, I'm not poo pooing it, but Cooper Kupp, all he's got to do is get 2 touchdowns. It doesn't even have to be like high volume. It's just that's what it takes.
You're going to tell me that a guy who's going to play
in the world, given he's an experienced guy, and
Cooper Kupp is going to play in the game almost every snap. And the other guy who has better odds apparently might not see the field, but he's got better odds.
My theory is that this has to do with Sam Darnold.
You're banking on injury. You're banking on an injury. That's weird.
Well, remember a couple weeks ago he had the elbow thing?
Yeah, I remember that.
And there was a lot of, is he going to play? Now, clearly nothing came of it. They blew out the Niners, and he looked great last week. I wonder if there's some carryover to that. There's a group of people who tried to get a little too creative, and they were like, you know what? No one is going to bet this.
You know what, Tanner? You read my mind, man, because I'm thinking the same exact thing. I think Drew Lock was probably the 30th or whatever highest ranked odds, a long shot. And then someone just thought, it just takes one hit to Sam Darnold. And all of a sudden, my Super Bowl.
You know what it looks like? A sack in the first quarter. He lands on his shoulder funny. He can't move.
And here comes Drew Lock. And all of a sudden, you're looking at a great hit.
The Seahawks win. They win 14-10. He throws for a touchdown. And that's all it takes. That's what it looks like.
And I think that just boosted up that betting odds up to where it is now. I don't think that. Yeah, seriously, I'm at that same spot because he's just going to be an end zone target, and it just takes two Super Bowl. It just takes two
If we
touchdowns.
simulate this game 100 times, I'm gonna say 95 of them. Maybe that's a little high. 85 plus of them, Drew Lock's not going to take a single snap. So,
oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, it's funny, but I would never truly entertain it.
So before we move on to our extra point, should we pick our game? Like, see who do we think is going to win? So I mean, I think.
Do you have the line?
It's 4.5. It's 4.5 favoring the Seahawks. I think a lot of people are kind of picking Seahawks right now. They're kind of seeing the Patriots as like a pretty solid underdog. I didn't know how people felt about the two teams until like this week's kind of gone on, but it does feel like a consensus of the Seahawks being the top team. I don't know. I feel good about the Seahawks. Would it shock me if it's like a 3-point game and the Patriots cover in the 4.5? I wouldn't be shocked. I think they have a good enough defense to make it close. I don't think the Seahawks are like the Legion of Boom Seahawks. I mean, I think they're a good team. I think they're fun.
Yeah,
I don't think they're.
I'm closer to that than you are. Then
I don't think they're a juggernaut. I mean, I just think they're two good teams that are pretty comparable. A lot of people have said that the Patriots schedule has been like extremely favorable. In fact, I saw a tweet where it said like each week of the season it put who the Patriots played and what that result was for that team they played. For example, like week 1, the team they played week 1, their coach has been fired. Week 2, their coach has been fired. Week 3, I'm not kidding, guys. Like it actually goes like fired.
One was fired coach. New York Jets, fired coach,
Jets,
fired coach.
or NFC South. So like you just get like they had a really easy schedule, but I will say they did go into the playoffs and beat two good teams. Like they weren't slouches. Two good teams that had good defenses too. So I would argue that maybe those two teams had better defenses than the Seahawks are about to play. So and the Seahawks have a pretty good defense too. Oh really? Okay, all right. What do you got? What do you got?
I think the Seahawks have a better roster than I think you may be giving them credit for. I'm not saying they're Legion of Boom, but I think they're closer than what most people would think. I think they got a lot of talent.
So you think this is going to be an easy cover?
Then let's look at the quarterback situation. I understand Drake May was an MVP candidate for pretty much all of the year. I mean, he's probably going to finish at worst second. But like in this playoffs, he hasn't really done nothing special. Like they're not winning because of him. And I'll give him a break on that AFC Championship game when it was a snow blizzard. There was nothing really special in that first game against the Chargers, and I think as long as he wasn't C.J. Stroud, he didn't really have to do much there either. I think they also got a defensive score, and so I mean credit to the Patriots, but I don't think we're really fooling anyone thinking like it was a Drake May led team.
No, I don't think so either.
And I'm not gonna poo-poo the shoulder thing. I think I don't know. He had a lot of incentive to move his shoulder and look more flexible than
Sounds like both quarterbacks are banged up, though, Tanner. We just went a whole 10 minutes talking about Drew Lock.
I saw what Sam Darnold was doing. I feel comfortable. Unless he did something like skydive or went ATV riding or something in between, which I highly doubt, I have a lot more confidence in Sam Darnold. You know what's crazy? People keep saying, when's Sam Darnold going to have one of his playoff game? Coming into this year, he only had one career playoff game, and it was bad. He's looked good in the last 2. So really, the Sam Darnold playoff game is actually a good game. So I actually have more faith in Sam Darnold. And in that case, I think they have the better quarterback. I think they have the better roster. Kind of hard for me not to look at that 4.5 and say, you know what, I'll take it.
Well, you know what? All right, good. Then we have our first disagreement. I don't know if the Patriots are going to win, but I do think that I would take the points. I think I would take Patriots plus 4.5 just to see. I think it'd be a close game.
The thing with gambling is, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be surprised at just about it. The only outcome I would be surprised at is if the Patriots blow out the Seahawks. But would I be surprised if it's a close game either way? No, not at all. And I would be less shocked if the Seahawks blew out the Patriots and vice versa, though. I mean, 4.5. Like at the end of the day, if they win 24-20 because of like a late field goal to push it within 4. I mean, I would lose the bet, and that's what's tough about all this. I feel pretty good about the Seahawks. I think I'll give you the points.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I hope it's a good game. So those are your picks, guys. We got me picking the Patriots plus 4.5, and Tanner going with the Seahawks minus 4.5. This should be a good Super Bowl. I'm really excited to see who wins. The one thing I do think is you said that the Sam Darnold experience has been a rather good one. I'm pretty sure he has thrown over 13 interceptions this year. He has a lot of interceptions
He led the
this year.
league in turnovers.
He did lead the league in turnovers. So yes, they do have. I think the more. I don't even know if I agree with you on that. I think Drake May, while compromised, yeah, probably Sam Darnold's better, but there's still a chance that Sam Darnold goes out there and just completely falls apart. I mean, yeah, you could say the same thing about Drake May, but I think this is a little bit of a closer game, and I hope it's a closer game because let's be honest, when Super Bowls or blowouts are boring for everyone unless you're the fan of the team who won like last year. So I'm hoping for a good game. So you ready for the extra point, Tanner?
I think so.
Let's do it.
The extra point.
All right. I'm going to start off because I've lived 32 years of my life and I am sick and tired of this one thing. It hit me this afternoon and I'm finally getting this off my chest. Guys, Arby's is the Nickelback of fast food. And this is what I'm going to say. No, I'm not saying Arby's is bad. I'm saying Arby's gets too much hate. Just like Nickelback got too much hate back in the day. Come on, guys. Like, let's be real. Let's start with Nickelback, okay? They're not bad. They have some bangers. Come on, man. Like, let's be real. You're going to tell me when some of those songs come on the radio, you're not bobbing your head a little bit. I think what happened was a lot of people got too cool. Ooh, Nickelback sucks. And it just kind of became a meme. But like we know it's good music. I'm not saying it's like amazing, but I'm saying they're fun to listen to, bob your head to, get that little grungy feeling going. I got some good hits, And that brings me to Arby's. It brings me to Arby's. For the whole, you got your McDonald's, you got your Burger Kings, you got your Wendy's, you got your, your stalwarts, And Arby's is like, oh, Arby's makes you sick, makes you throw up. Arby's, if you don't like roast beef, which I don't like roast beef, yeah, maybe it's not for you because they're mostly a roast beef place, but they have the meats. And that's what they say, they have the meats. I think they do have the meats. They have great turkey sandwiches. They have good chicken sandwiches. They have good chicken tenders. They have great mozzarella sticks. Let me tell you, those are the things I like. Those are my first mozzarella stick experiences. Great sauces, Arby's sauce, horsey sauce. I think that Arby's is entirely slept on. Best part about Arby's, no one's ever there. You don't have to worry about there being a line. It's just for me because everyone hates it for the dumbest reasons. So you know what? Everyone else can go away and go to your other places while I'll be eating my Arby's and listening to Nickelback and jamming in my car. And yeah, it's going to be gross. I'm going to have grease all over my mouth, but you know what? I'm going to be happy. And I think as a person going into my mid-30s, I want to be a happy person. And those two things make me happy. So that's my extra point of the week, that Arby's is a Nickelback of fast food, but in the best way possible. What are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, I hate Arby's. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, God, now I'm blushing. Thank you. Thank God. Someone had to say it.
There's three things that I think Arby's needs more credit for. One is their sliders. I think they may still have it. They have like a happy hour slider from 5, 3, whatever the hours are. But yeah, I mean you can get between the roast beef sliders, the chicken. There's a couple of different options there. 2, they have that like mint shake. I think is really good.
Ooh, yeah. They got an orange creamsicle shake too. It had come out during summertime. Oh, come on!
Best of all, they got the poppers, the jalapeno poppers.
How did I forget those? No, those things are freaking great.
It comes with like the Bronco sauce.
Oh my God, dude. Those things.
Arby's.
They're great.
we are open to advertising deals. We will we will do your work for you.
Dude, we'll
You
eat
can pay us
Arby's
in
on
dollars.
camera. We'll eat Arby's on
You
camera. I don't even care if I get my mic
and you'll
greasy. They're
see
just gonna have
our
to live
weight
with it.
gain pod over pod over pod.
I'll even put we have the meats in the media board. I'll just
I
have that
mean,
played over. I
no,
don't see why
I'm
not.
100% with you. They don't get any credit. They get only hate. I mean, I'm with you on that. I think that's a good. Did you have Arby's today for lunch or something?
No, I did not actually. I was just thinking about Nickelback and how like people tend to like jump on memes, I guess, and just kind of ride the idea that like something sucks. And I just saw, them, and I was like, wait a second, like they kind of do the same thing with Arby's. And it was funny because right after I said that out loud, and I was like kind of saying it to myself to kind of get the take right, there was a Family Guy episode on, and they did a joke about Arby's and how it sucks. And I was like, oh, what are the odds? I was like, screw you. No, it's good. I like Arby's. No, but that was kind of my take. So what's your extra point for the week?
Well, this is going to be more on brand for the pod,
Ah,
and for the week. Given the week, uh, what are your thoughts on the Super Bowl being on a Saturday as opposed to a Sunday?
that is great because I was actually talking about that with my wife Marissa. She was saying, we should think, because there's been a lot of consternation about Super Bowl Sunday, and then you get up the next day and it's like, oh, you got to stay up late, you got to go to work on Monday. It's like, how can we fix that? And and she asked me, she said, why is Super Bowl not on a Saturday? And I was like, you know what? I've been saying that for years. I agree. I think that if you have a 2-week period where there's no football, what purpose does the NFL have to not play it on Saturday other than just have that one extra day of marketing? Like, how much public service, how much good PR that would do to move it to Saturday? Like, I think you would
Isn't the
generate,
number one day called out on Super Bowl Monday for
yeah,
work?
like you would, I think there would be more people happy to the point to where it would be such a good thing for the NFL than I think it would be worth them like losing on that last day of marketing. And to be honest, wouldn't they have to spend don't they have to spend money on marketing? Like, don't they have to
No.
spend money on that? Yeah, isn't that how that works? They have to spend the money to get their thing marketed. Isn't that how that works, or whatever? I feel like they'd be saving money, right? Because that's the day they don't have to do that. I don't know. I just feel like that's like something they
They
wouldn't.
get paid well. I mean, as far as like commercials and stuff, they don't get them. Like it's the networks that get the advertising, like the
Oh, okay.
commercials and
Well,
spots.
no, but no. Honestly, but I agree with you. I think Saturday would be a great fix, and
Well, it
I've
may
heard
not,
the
and
yeah.
I'm not trying to like poo poo my idea, but like it may not be an issue much longer if we go to an 18 game schedule. That would push back the season by 1 week. Well, what's that going to that pushes every week back. Well, the following week might fall on President's Day. So
Yeah,
I
I
think there's
saw
a little
that.
bit of thought that I know not everyone gets President's Day, but for those who do get it, then it wouldn't matter like whether it's on a Saturday or Sunday. The idea is not having to work the day after. So until then, just kind of stick to this idea. Yeah, it is weird because the NFL should be played on a Sunday because that's how it's always been. It's how it'll always be. But it's different when it's the big game. People get together and come together and watch. And so, especially if you're trying to market the game globally, you need to make every incentive there is to get people to want to watch throughout. You just don't
Oh
want
yeah, it's a
people
great
like
point.
having wanting to leave in the middle of the fourth quarter because it's a 10-point game. I do have to work early tomorrow. Like, you don't think advertisers think about that too? Like, there's a scenario where you have the exact same game, but because it's Sunday, I'm gonna turn off because I got to work tomorrow. But if it's Saturday, hey, you know what? My budget to stay up a little bit later is a little bit higher for that. So, no,
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
whether it's less about it being on a Saturday or it having to be on a Sunday, there needs to be a national holiday. The day
You know
after the
what
Super Bowl
thing?
needs to be a national holiday.
You know what thing I never watch more than anything else? It's whatever thing is on right after the Super Bowl. And I always feel like the network's always like, oh, stay tuned for a new whatever comes on after this network. And it's supposed to be like
Yeah.
you could tell they kind of like pump it up to be like a big
A lot of
event
times
after
it's
the
like a
Super
news
Bowl.
show.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't want to watch something after staying up for who knows, because it's going to be longer halftime, later presentation, Super Bowl MVP presentations. Like, I'm not staying up late until like 12:30 to watch something afterwards. I'm going to bed or leaving. I used to have to drive from Wilmington or from like Greenville, or we were in college, so we were having to make trips back and forth. And it was a long commitment to kind of get those Super Bowl parties in, or Super Bowl commitments in. So I think it'd be a lot easier if they moved it to Saturday. And with the advent of like playing games on Friday and Black Friday, and moving games all witching round, and having Thursday games be so prevalent, and even some Saturday games popping up a lot more towards the end of the year, like I think eventually we may see some consideration of this happening in the future. I hope it does happen, because I think it does make the game a more enjoyable experience for everyone around. And if the NFL wants to make this a year-long, weekly, daily, 24/7 type of entertainment type system, then they're going to want to have to like consider that as like a potential avenue. So yeah, I think that's a great extra point. It definitely fits in with the vibe of what we were going with for that pod. But yeah, so next week we'll be reacting to our Super Bowl picks. We'll be talking about a new Super Bowl champion. Hopefully the Eagles and Cardinals kind of flesh out their coaching staff, and I hope Vic Fangio is still in Philly. And then later on this month, obviously we're going to jump into some more, kind of like long-term planning. We're going to start moving towards pro days, combine. So guys, like, stay with us. Like, we're not going anywhere, even though this season's over with the Super Bowl. The off season just began. So we're going to be uploading
Actually,
weekly
this
still.
Super Bowl is proof how important the offseason is. You look at the two
Absolutely.
teams, that are in the Super Bowl. Either you're going to get a quarterback who
Mhm.
just joined after signing in free agency and winning a Super Bowl in their first year, or you're going to get a coach in their first year winning a Super Bowl. So as a Cardinals fan, it gives me hope that there are quick turnarounds.
Oh, absolutely. These things happen like immediately. I mean, think about where the Broncos were before Sean Payton got hired. Think about, I remember the Bills were like a dumpster fire, and then they hired Sean McDermott and then got Josh Allen. Now they're perennial division winners. So things can happen quick in the NFL. So we're going to be here for every step of the way, looking at free agent hires. Oh my gosh. I mean, draft position
You got the
breakdowns,
combine coming up at the end
the
of the month.
combine coming up, and trust me, we're going to go all out for draft season, guys. So I know you may not be brushed up on that, but you know what, that's why you got us, because we're going to brush up on all the positions. Even if it's not a position that our team is interested in, we're going to go around with all the positions. So maybe a team that you might be a fan of, who you're interested in, you might hear some names that you might want to be looking into for your team. So even if it's not a Birds fan or a Cardinals fan, there's going to be something for everybody. So look forward to that. We're not leaving, again, weekly. We're going to keep this train going all throughout draft season, into OTAs, into training camps, week 1, week 2. Dude, I am psyched. Are you psyched, man? I'm pretty psyched. I'm excited for all this stuff we got coming up. It's going to be a great off season.
Sometimes it's the off season that's even more exciting because everybody wins.
Dude, oh my gosh, I can't wait for draft night. All right, anyway, I could go on forever, but guys, thanks so much for joining us on Birds Coast to Coast. It means a lot. Guys, check us out on TikTok, YouTube, Spotify. We're trying to reach out on all the avenues, on Twitter as well. Find us, repost us, share us with other people that you know about. We're really trying to get as many eyeballs on us as possible. So and we're having a great time, and we're really thankful for all of you guys for listening at home. And I know Tanner, you feel the same way. So it's been a fun ride. So I'm real excited to continue this with a great group of people. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys next week on Birds Coast to Coast.